right. So thank you again for being here this fine Monday morning. It's actually fairly nice out there today. There's actually no wind for a change. So this morning, I'm here on behalf of the SkillsPassNL project, and I'll go into some detail as to that as the adoption manager and what it is. Alrighty, so let's just dig right in to it. I do have 7 slides, and 2 of them are pictures. So one of the quotes that Bluedrop's CEO likes to use, Zamad, he likes to use, people who use PowerPoint very seldom have any power and have even less of a point. So this session today is going to be very interactive into what we're talking about. It's going to be a very open flow. The mics are muted, but questions are open to anybody if you want to unmute your mic or if you wanted to ask questions in the chat. And periodically, I will stop and say, are there any questions so far? Is there any clarification that you need on anything that I'm presenting here? So my name is Victoria Blagden. I am the adoption manager, and no, I don't handle child adoptions or pet adoptions or anything like that. What an adoption manager is, and my role is for this project, is to get people introduced to this platform and to help them, if needed, to integrate it into their businesses as a part of a training portal that they can utilize in their daily operations, in their application flows. And as we get into the content, there'll be more context around what that actually means. So I'm basically here to talk and share. So let's do some time traveling. If we look back before this whole COVID situation came to light and what our goals were for our businesses and for our members and our employees back last summer, last fall, the winter, what were some of the things that you were focused on? Were you looking at, oh, this is another season coming up now, I'm going to be doing a lot of hiring. How do I deal with that churn that I'm getting? How would I go about my hiring process? What are some of the methodologies that I use in finding that right employee? How do I get them onboarded into my business? What is your orientation process like? What kind of training do you do? How would you describe that ongoing training for yourself, your staff, or your members? SkillsPassNL.com is at its core a training platform, a learning repository. It hosts a whole bunch of programs that are targeted to help owners, managers, employees, job seekers, basically everybody in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. And it's free. It's completely free. There are no costs to doing any of the courses in here whatsoever. You register using your email address and your name, and we're going to go through that process today. And at the heart of the project, it's all about gaining skills and knowledge to excel in your business, in your career. It's helped to ensure that business plan timelines are kept with the first application of submission approval. A lot of the things that I've learned through this project that has been on the go now for a little over a year, so this is not a response to COVID-19. This has been ongoing now for the government of Newfoundland and Labrador for a little over a year now, and it's meant to proactively empower business owners, applicants, and their staff as to what's required for optimal operation. So it's meant to save time and money in being prepared for inspections. It's meant to ensure public and personal safety by complying to those regulations. It takes your skills training with you when you earn these certificates on the SkillsPassNL.com platform. They're yours. Whatever email address you have registered for it is where your certificates lie. From an employer perspective, it can help you track who has what training for what service. You can get on-demand reports of the education levels within your network. There's a question coming through. Can these courses be adapted to a particular population? Depending on what course that you're looking for, the courses themselves are geared towards a grade 6 learning level. And there's a variety of courses that we're going to go into actually into the very next slide. So when I say let's take a tour, let's go to the SkillsPassNL.com site, which is a great segue into that question. So when we look at the content that's available here, now, as I was saying, this is sponsored by the government of Newfoundland and Labrador. There are 4 different government departments that are feeding information onto this platform. So we've got Service NL, NLC, TCII, and AESL, Advanced Education Skills and Learning, Tourism, Culturalism, Industry, and Innovation, and well, NLC, Newfoundland Liquor Corporation, and Service NL. Currently, the Liquor Corporation's content is housed on a different site. The site is cannabisnl.myskillspass.io. This is only a temporary thing. The reason why it was hosted separately is because of the initial concerns around cannabis and the education of youth. We were very concerned about age gating in the very first year of it. They didn't want to be advocating use to anyone that was underage. In looking at the courses, you will actually see that there is no advocating or encouragement of the use of cannabis within the population. It just gives you the facts of what using cannabis is like, what the industry standards are like. If you're an owner, if you work in the industry, you have to understand what the impacts of this product can have onto your body. We also have launched the edibles, topicals, and extracts that just became legal this year. So you can learn about the impacts. There are courses in there for parents in how to talk to your teenagers, your children, about the usages of cannabis. And also they have put up the liquor license application for special events and for a regular one, so that if you're a business, if you're a restaurant owner, and a part of your opening is to have a liquor license, you want that application to go through and approved the very first time, go and do this course, and it will teach you everything that you need to put in so that your application is successful the first time. In the drug and alcohol world of workplace policies, this was meant for small to medium-sized businesses that may not have the internal resources to rewrite their workplace policies when it comes to drug and alcohol usage before work, of course, not on the job. So in the world of cannabis, that is a very wide range when it comes to being impactful into the day-to-day business. If you got someone, say for example, you got a municipality that has a plow operator, you would not want them indulging into cannabis 24, 48 hours before they go out and operate that heavy machinery. Whereas the town clerk that's behind the desk, It wouldn't be as important if somebody did have indulged the night before and came to work the next day. It wouldn't have the same impact. So when we go back to the other page, when we're looking at the Service NL content, we're looking at the commercial driver's training. This is for anyone who's looking for a class 1, 2, or 3 driver's license. So right now, especially important is our trucking industry, our shipping industry across Newfoundland and Labrador, knowing that those commercial drivers are safe and they are following the regulations of our province. That's one thing about this content, that it is all very specific to Newfoundland and Labrador. You can Google a lot of courses around the same criteria that we're showing here today, but you don't know where they're from. They could be from Ontario, BC, they could be down in the States, they could be another country, and understanding that their regulations may be different from the ones that we hold true here in Newfoundland is very important. And you wouldn't want to get caught with, oh, I didn't know, I did the course and this is what it said, but that course may not be relevant to us. So the commercial drivers, one of the other thing about commercial drivers is that there's two ways that you can become a commercial driver in Newfoundland and Labrador. You can go to school or you can go through an apprentice program. The commercial driver's training housed onto this platform is actually step 1 of the apprentice program. You must earn your certificate into this program before you even go to your road test. So a lot of shipping companies that have grandfathered in apprentice drivers, they're using this as their safety standard and introduction. Plus, they're using it for their more seniored commercial drivers out there that have been on the road and maybe have developed bad habits of their own. This is a great refresher for them to get back to the basics of what it actually, the regulations are for commercial driving in the province. Another service in L1 is the tobacco retail, understanding what it means to sell tobacco products and vapor products in Newfoundland and Labrador. The food safety program is made up actually of 6 different programs. Food safety within Newfoundland and Labrador, well, food is such an integral part of our culture. If you're happy, we feed you. If you're sad, we feed you. If you're partying, we feed you. So it touches on not just the business owners that could take advantage of getting off the ground, understanding what it is that you need to do in order to get your food establishment license, to what to expect when we're inspecting. This is ongoing food inspection processes that happen periodically with anyone who has a food establishment license, to a general food safety basics. And this is just an introductory to food safety and what it means to be not just in a business, it could be a not-for-profit, it could be in any organization where you need to understand the food safety basics. And then we get specifically into not-for-profit and volunteer-run events. How many times have you heard the story of I went to a fundraiser and had a bad cold plate or a bad turkey dinner? We want to eliminate those stories altogether. Well, thanks, Sharon, for that. It was great to hear about that food safety course helping those individuals. It also helps job seekers in which they have something in their resume. If you are a business owner and you're looking at a resume for someone, a lot of summer students, if they have on their resume babysitting experience versus someone who has a certificate in food safety basics, who are you going to look at as a more employable person for your industry? If someone who already has knowledge or someone that you're going to need to train. The home-based business preparation, all of our farms, farmers markets, festivals, that we bring in, that people prepare their business. The Blueberry Festival, for example, the Strawberry Festival, all of these festivals have a lot of vendors that do home preparation and need to understand what it is they have to do in order to be safe to sell their product at these festivals, in the shipping, in the transportation of it, and of the handling of it while they're serving. And again, to the foods, temporary food premise, same scenario where your pop-up, your festival, your charity, any of these will be applicable. You'll notice most of the content in here is by Service NL, and Service NL were really keen on making it easier to do business with them. And the way for them that they saw was to educate people ahead of time. They really want to change the inspector's perception away from, oh my God, the inspector's coming. What are they going to catch me at doing now? To, no, here you go. We want you to be successful. And here is a free way for you to be successful. You learn this ahead of time. We don't want to catch you. We want to empower you. So by offering up for free and letting these people know ahead of time, this is what we expect. We don't want to catch you at anything. We want you to be safe. We want the public to be safe. That's their number one mandate. So the pool operation training, another Service in L1, the marriage license issuer and commissionaires. For anyone who is an approved commissionaire, you need to understand the new guidelines that changed in Newfoundland and Labrador with a same-sex marriage, for example. They need to understand all of those expectations. Building accessibility awareness. This ties into the universal design concepts and methodology when it comes to building access, not just wheelchair access, but all levels of accessibility to make your business more open to the general public, no matter what kind of impediment that they might have. The registered electrical contractors training. Again, another Service in L1. If you've got an electrical contractor that is coming in to get inspected in a building, you want to be able to pass that inspection the first time around. I'm from a very small town on the south coast of Newfoundland. I'm from Wreck Cove. It's famous. We had a lady win $1 million on a scratch ticket. And as a community of 70 people, that's quite a big deal. We made VOCM news, but having any work done when it comes to electrical work is really difficult in getting the inspector to come out from Grand Falls area. It's a 2.5-hour drive. So you want it to go through the first time, and you don't want any delays in your construction. So knowing ahead of time is really important. The other two in here, the job search success, we're looking at our students, our job seekers, our unemployed, when we get back to normal for those people that may be in the job market after we come out of COVID-19, knowing how to beef up your resume, how to present yourself into interviewing process is going to be really important. And having those skills available to you through this online learning is really going to give you an advantage if you have to go through that process all over again. We were in the process of introducing this to the Careers 2201 high school students. Kind of got put on hold with the closure of the schools, but we do hope to go into the fall 2020 program stronger than ever and as a part of the curriculum. But if you're associated with any group that supports job seekers, whether it be a newcomer, whether it be someone re-entering the job force for the first time in a long time again, this will give you a real holistic view of right from am I job ready, and do I know what kind of job I want, to building your resume, to filling in those gaps if there are any, to the interviewing process and what tips and tricks that you can use to create that really positive first impression to give you that leg up. The main one that I'd like to focus on today is actually the workplace productivity program. And I totally understand there's a whole lot of stuff in here that you can spend hours and hours looking at, but a lot of them are niche ones. When you come to a pool operator or tobacco retail, like that's a niche course that unless you're engaged in that into that industry, it's not going to mean a whole lot to you. But the workplace productivity program is available and the most holistic program that we have. I'm going to actually register for that program right now so that you can see exactly what's engaged into it. Because the workplace productivity, I find that title doesn't really get into the meat and potatoes of what that program is. So to register, I'm going to choose that program and register for the selected. It's going to ask me for an email address. And I'm going to drop my mic. I'm going to pick it back up again in a second. I'm going to create my password. The password does have to be a minimum of 8 characters. And it must have 1 capital, 1 lower, and 1 number. And as you saw, password 1 will work into it, although I don't suggest that you use that password. It's not very strong in a password. But I'll be deleting this profile afterwards. It will ask you to self-identify as well. So if you're an owner or a manager, this is where you get to utilize the networking portion of the platform, where if you're an admin, and I'll show you what that means a little later on, you can immediately go in, or if you have an employee and you want to link them to your network, this is where they can do it. I'm going to select I'm looking for a job. I have read the terms and services, and I'm going to register. It is going to send me an email to my main email address. And it looks like this. So it's going to ask me to confirm my account, and it's got this really long link in there to do so. If the email does not come into your inbox, check your spam filter, check your trash filter. If you're using Gmail, also check your all mail filter. If you have a Gmail account, there are actually 2 inboxes that Gmail gives you right off the bat. You can check that, and it can go in there and hide it without you even knowing it as a default. Now, Sharon has a question there. How can I use I am an employer to link my students to the course? When you are an employer or you have an admin, to get that admin, you would need to contact me to create your network. It takes about 10 minutes for me to do that. There are just 5 questions: what you want to call your network, how you want to be your main contact, use your admin onto it, and you can share the name of your network with your students or with your employees or with your members so that they can easily identify you. Once I have my profile created there, Sharon, I'll show you where you can add that employer network onto or member network. When I click on that link, is going to take me to this page here, the account activation. Your account has been successfully activated. Excellent. So I'm going to close that out and I'm going to OK and log in. I'm going to log in using the one that I just created. Every time you log in, it's going to ask you and offer you the other programs that you have not registered for. So if I initially registered for the workplace productivity one and then decided that, you know what, I want to take the job search success or the food safety one, whatever ones you want, you can put the check marks in there and you can choose to enroll and continue or log in without enrolling, whichever ones you want to do. So I'm just going to choose the two there and enroll and continue. Every time you log in at the SkillsPassNL.com site, you'll get this enrollment pop-up. Oh, did I not click it? Oh, sorry, it just took a little bit of time. All right, the very first time I do log in, it's going to ask me to complete my profile. The only people that see the completing of the profile is the Bluedrop customer success team. And the reason why we would need to have access to it is only if and when you want to make a change to your account. So if you registered with your teenage email address of funkynewfie@gmail.com, and now you're a job seeker and you want to have a more professional email address, but you don't want to do your certificates over, you could then go into our customer support and say, I've registered with funkynewfie@gmail.com, but now my email address is victoriab@gmail.com. Can you move my certificates over? Our customer success team would say, absolutely, we can do that for you. We just need to confirm you are who you say you are. And that we would use date of birth or the address. So the format is year, month, day, and the address. We do use Google Maps for addresses, but as we all know, not every address in Newfoundland and Labrador is in Google Maps, so there is a free type in there as well that you can use. And there we go. So I have not added any employers yet. If I wanted to add an employer network to my profile to share my certificates, I could search for them here. So say if I wanted to work in the restaurant industry, for example, and I just got hired by Java Jacks on the West Coast for their season, I could search for Java Jacks restaurant. Restaurant and gallery. Now I am looking for this one here with the blue check mark into it. The blue check mark indicates that it is a network onto the SkillsPassNL. All of the rest of these here are references. So if you're looking to join the network, you're looking for the blue check. And I can save that or I can delete it. I can change the employer here. I can remove them as a owner of my account. I can add or remove as many of them as I want. I'm going to save these changes, and it's going to take me to the platform. Any other questions before I launch at this time? Excellent. All right, so the workplace productivity. And when I go into the player platform, this is what it takes me to. The workplace productivity is actually made up of 8 different learning activities. Activities like teamwork, customer service, communication, basic computer literacy, time management, using numbers on the job, problem solving, and dealing with difficult people. All of these courses, no matter what job environment you are currently in or a job environment that you hope to go in, you can utilize multitudes of these activities in any of them. If you're working on a team, if you're learning to work on a team, this is a activity that you can go to learn tips and techniques on how to interact in a team environment. Customer service. If you're part of our very important tourism industry in Newfoundland and Labrador, why wouldn't you want your staff to have a customer service course on there to understand what it takes to build excellent customer experiences? And I think any of you can share in a negative customer experience that you've had, but also in the positive ones that you have and how to create those positive ones. I think it only takes 2 tries through a drive-through before you can get a positive or a negative customer service experience out there. Um, One in particular that I remember, I go through the Tim Hortons drive-through a lot, and I use a reusable mug. And I went through once, and the lady at the cash asked me, was I right or left-handed? Kind of threw me for a loop. I was right-handed, and I didn't understand until after she gave me my mug back as to why she asked me if I was left or right-handed. When she gave me my mug back, the mouthpiece was perfectly aligned so that when I picked up my mug in my right hand, it lined up perfectly. So I was like, what a thoughtful customer experience for her to ask if I was left or right-handed. I didn't have to turn it around. It fit perfectly. Um, Communication. When you're in a team environment or on any job, you're working with people and you need to be able to communicate effectively. And this will help you with tips and techniques. Basic computer literacy. Computers are a part of our daily lives now. Pretty much any industry that you're in, you're going to have to deal with a computer in some degree. This will teach you the basics about keyboards and emails and internet etiquette, how to write an email with in being polite and not being misunderstood. Time management, how to deal with multiple products, multiple time lines and deadlines, and how to utilize your time. One of the things since this COVID-19 and everybody's working from home, just understanding how to make priorities, how to understand um, how to be productive when you're working from home. And working from home has been a huge game changer for a lot of people, and we have a tendency to procrastinate or think that we have a lot more time on our day than we do, sort of thing. How do you remain productive during this time? Unfortunately, Sharon, I think you were the only one that lost connection. Maybe your internet connection dropped you out. Um, Using numbers on the job, understanding that estimations can make you more efficient on a job. When you're doing orders of inventory and that sort of thing, you can use that. Problem solving, understanding what a basic problem is, how to get to the root of the problem, and how to solve that problem. Being able to identify the little things, the big things, and the things that need to be actions. Dealing with difficult people. I love assigning dealing with difficult people to difficult people. It really gives them an insight as to, is that really me? Am I the one that's behaving in a way that's making it difficult for me to deal with? And for those that are dealing with difficult people, it gives you techniques on how you can possibly reach that person without the customary blow up that sometimes happens when you're dealing with difficult people in a customer service environment. Um, I think we've all encountered that not so happy customer, and how you can diffuse those situations and help them and help your business through a more amicable resolution. So that is the Workplace Productivity Program. Any questions so far before I go into the employer module and what that looks like? If you want to unmute yourself, or if you want to put a post in the chat room, please go do so. No, we're good. All right, I'm going to log out. It's very important to log out of the platform. Just like Gmail or Yahoo, if you just close the screen, when you log back in, it will actually try to remember where you were into it, and it will put you right back into your learning module instead of the platform that you want to go into. So the admin module is actually on a different site. And if you do decide to go with a employer network, you can just contact me afterwards, that I will give you a full orientation into that as well and how you access that. So as an admin, when I log in, I have the ability to build my team and to look up workers out there to see what kind of certificates they have. The advantage of building your team and asking or inviting employees or members to join your team is that it gives you an instant report of who has what. So you can see who's been certified in any kind of program that you're interested in. If I wanted to filter out and say, okay, I need to know who has the food safety basics and who has the what to expect, because we've got a food inspection appointment coming up. I can tell immediately who has this. I can download this report into a CSV format, into Excel, so I can then slice and dice it however I want to. You don't have to do that, but it removes any need for the collection of paper certificates. This is what it looks like. I wanted to filter. I know exactly who has what done and when they did it. If I wanted to find someone to add them to my team, I would go into the worker search here. I will put in either their SkillsPass ID or their email address. So I just created one. Bluedrop com. Oh, did I spell my name right? That happens a lot. Does each worker have to be registered before you can create? You can create your employer network at any time. In order to add them to your network, they do need an account. I do have a really good one-pager, an IKEA style sheet that you can share with your employees or workers so that they can create their profiles, they can create their accounts and link it to your network immediately as well. Let's try, it may be where I just created that one, that it's not showing up right away. Let's try this one. There we go. So this is one that I have. No problem, Megan. Contact me if you need anything. Okay, here we go. So I can click on my email address there and I can see this is the certificate. I can download this certificate in a PDF format and save it onto my drive, or I can print it off if I wanted to. Or I can invite this worker into my team. I can choose to invite them to my JavaJax network or my employer. This one is already into the My SkillsPass employer as part of my demo. When I do invite them in, they will get an email saying, hey, you've been invited into Victoria's network. What would you like to do? Accept or reject. If you get a rejection, they won't show up on your certificate list. If you get an acceptance, within 24 hours, they will show up under your certificate list. And that's an easy way of seeing who has what done. You can also remove any of these people from these networks at any time as an admin. So if I'm looking at this one here, I can go into Teams and take them out of that network so that they don't show in there anymore. And that is basically it for the employer network. So the features of having the network, the reporting and the paperless, it's all there. And again, an employer network is all free. You don't have to pay for anything on there. You get to track your admin and have multiple admins onto your network. No problem at all. It's all part of the SkillsPassNL experience into it.